Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Reasonably Effective podcast brought to you by myself, Uncommon Fossil, and 10 Types.
Yep. Hello, everyone. And today we're going to be talking about some new cards that were just revealed at the time of recording this. And they are from the set Stellar Miracle or Stellar Crown. Stellar Crown is the English set. And I have seen these cards. Uncommon Fossil, you've not. You don't really know anything about these cards, right?
Correct. This is first time looking at seeing these cards as we go through it for me.
And so they're pretty interesting. So previously we did look at Stellar Crown, the cards revealed, and do you remember those very well?
That had the one of the special multi-type Pokemon. What Stellar Pokemon, I believe,
Yeah,
based
that
on Stellar Crown.
Trumpet.
Yeah.
And I went to look for that. And then it has support for Terra Pokemon, right? A lot of things work with Terra
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon
Yes.
and colorless Pokemon.
Yep.
So there is more of that today, but so there are cards that work with Trapagos EX, and I will remind people what it does. So it has Unified Beatdown for 2 colorless. It does 30 for each of your Pokemon in play.
Mm-hmm.
You can't use this attack turn when going second, and it's also colors basic and Terra EX as well. And Crown Opal Grasswater Lightning does 180, and during your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from basic non-colorless Pokemon.
Right. And in those set of cards revealed, there's the stadium that lets you expand your bench, which helps with that first attack.
Yes, if you have a Terra Pokemon in play, which was probably an EX or is an EX so far.
Right. I mean, I'm unless we learn different now. I assume it's going to stay that way.
Yeah, probably. And then there's also Noctowl, which searches for trainers, but only if you have a Terra Pokemon in play.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Sparkling Crystal. It's a tool for Terra Pokemon. Yeah.
Right, and that one reduced attack cost, right? If I recall.
Yeah, reduces attack cost by 1 of any type, which is pretty good. I mean, it can be good. It's good in like Dragapult. It could be good with the Trapagos as well.
Right, for any of these Terra type, because they have 3 energy types, I believe.
The Stellar
The
Pokemon.
Stellar Pokemon I do. I'm sorry.
Obviously, like Charizard EX
Yeah.
doesn't have 3 energy types.
No.
But anyway, so now let's take a look at the new cards, and I'm going to read them out. I have looked at them already, so let's take a look at Diplin first. We have an Applin, but that's not very good. We have a Diplin, though, in its
Mm-hmm.
attack here. And keep in mind, this is not the final evolution, but for 1 grass coding attack, you do 20, and your opponent's during your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from basic Pokemon.
That's pretty good because walling basics is appealing now. It's right with all of the Paradox Pokemon. They're all basic only decks. You can have Firebox decks that are basic and such. And basics, big basics are nice ways to go with decks. So walling off basics, and I assume there's a stage 2 that does something nice as well. So having a walling option in a deck that's not just relying on that, I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's my thought as well. And of course, there's another Diplin from there's multiple Diplins in format, but there's the Diplin with the Festival lead ability,
Hmm.
which can like attack twice, and it's kind of good.
Yeah, and you could. I have seen certain control builds with some of that festival with all the drawings, things and such. So um, you could put in that and maybe a control type deck as well.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting because control. Well, I think control is interesting, and especially more unique options. This isn't like super powerful. It will auto win maybe a few matchups, but then we have Hydrapple EX here. It has 2 things. It has an ability and attack, but it's a stage 2
Right.
grass EX. I was gonna
Hmm.
say this is the first stage 2 grass EX. That's not true. The rest are just not that good. But
Yeah, very forgettable, unfortunately.
yeah, Yoscarada isn't like the worst. But Hydrapple EX here, ability Ripe Charge. Once during your turn, you can attach a basic grass energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. And if you do heal 30 from that Pokemon, and then Syrup Storm for 2 colors, it does 30 and 30 more for each grass energy attached to, I think, all your Pokemon in play.
Well, that's pretty good. Obviously, energy acceleration is always good. Other ones, obviously, that you attach an energy and draw a card, probably are better in general. But at 330 HP, avoiding being you might be able to avoid being 2-shot. Right? If someone's doing like 200ish or something, maybe you can get yourself down so you don't get knocked out the next turn. In the damage numbers, 30 plus 30 per energy, it's around, so that's a viable attack. I don't know if this energy acceleration is better than my boy Fortress EX, but
We can pair them together, right? Because you need
Yeah,
lots
you
of grass
might.
energy in play.
Yes, if only we could heal off the Fortress EX before we got not knock them out, but that's not happening.
Yeah, and then you can do this with the Grass Ogre Pawn, so that is a pretty, I
Uh,
think,
uh,
solid and semi-obvious combo as
oh yeah,
well.
that's true. Right, get energies in play that way. Obviously, you do the Grass Ogre Pawn first because that draws you cards, and then you would accelerate these after. I would assume, assuming you don't
Yeah,
want
unless you
the
really need the healing.
That's true. That's true. Or if you're getting close to decking out too.
Yeah, but I think this is an interesting card. How good do you think this card is?
How and well, okay. So the other Diplin is the festival lead one.
Yeah, which does 20 for each of your bench Pokemon, so it does 100 for one grass, assuming you don't have the new stadium. Well, no, then you can't attack twice, so you don't want the new stadium.
So that's the one that attacks twice if the stadium's in play, and but you compare it with the Thwacky. So part of it is I'm just trying to think: is there a version with the Hydrapple where I get the Thwacky for that setup going? I'm not sure.
Well, then you're playing it with Gardenia's Vigor, right? Is that what you want to do?
Well, no, I don't want to do that. No, I don't do that. So maybe that's just a bad idea. Doesn't work. So assuming that's not the case, I mean, 330 HP is decent. Grass is, fire is always a thing. It seems like so you're a little vulnerable there, or a lot vulnerable, obviously.
I mean,
And
Fire's not that good right now.
it's not. No, it's not. So I mean, 30 HP is where you want to be healing. I like it. And you heal the Pokemon you attach the energy to, right? So it's not necessarily this Hydrapple.
Yeah, so you can have a bunch of Hydrops in play and just power up, stick a bunch of energy on one, and then heal that one a bunch as well.
Right. You could. I mean, could you pair it with something like Dragapult EX?
Wait, why
And
do you do
no,
Dragon Ball
not that.
EX?
Sorry, that's the wrong type. I mean, could it be some other non Hydrapple Pokemon too? It's a stage 2, so it's going to get really awkward.
Yeah,
But
well, there was like Garganackle, which is kind of similar. It's a stage
yeah,
2, which I'm assuming you haven't played. Have you played it? I don't
I
think you
haven't.
played
I've
it.
looked into building decks with it, but I have not.
Yeah, and it accelerates a fighting from the discard to one of your Pokemon,
Yeah.
and then you heal 30. So
Is it just 30? That's from the discard, which is better than this one from
yeah,
hand.
and that doesn't like see any play.
No, again, fighting's still not great, right? And
No,
it's a
but like grass isn't,
the grass might be worse. And it's yeah, and it's a stage 2. This one's a better attacker though than the Garganackle, right? This one you can attack. I assume the idea is you're attacking. It's a Hydrapple deck, right? That
Yeah,
you're
probably.
that you have multiple Hydra apples and you're kind of powering them up, surviving turns. I guess what touring some before you press a Turo scenario before you get knocked out. Maybe I'm not sure exactly about that.
Yeah, and as you said there, you've not seen the other cards, but none of them are
No.
here to help Hydrapple. I don't think.
Okay.
So let's move on to the next card though, which is the Lapras EX, which is interesting. It's a Terra Pokemon, so immune to bench damage from both yours and your opponents, which is kind of unique, but whatever. It's how all the Terras work. And then
Okay.
it's a water basic in its attack. Power Splash does 40 for each energy attached to this Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
And then Laramarain here, Water Psychic Metal. Look at the top 20 cards of your deck. Attach any number of energy cards you find there to your Pokemon in any way you like, and then just shuffle the others back.
That's insane. Tw- I mean, that's just ridiculous. I just wow. I mean, look at the top 20 cards in your deck. I'm not sure. Has any card attack done that? Look at the top 20 cards in your deck for anything.
Uh, I don't think so.
Uh,
I'm trying to think. It's like a lot of cards. This is the card that I was like, yeah, maybe this might not be real because that's a lot of cards.
yeah, I mean, even and you don't have to now to accelerate energies. You don't have to have a deck that's like 20 plus energies. Even with a regular 10, 12, 11, 10, 12 energy deck, you're going to get a bunch of energies in play.
Yeah,
So that's really good. Now it doesn't do any damage, right? That
yeah,
attack.
and it is a lot of. It's a very like how do you power this up?
Yeah, right. It's
Especially
water.
turn one is really when you want to power it up because attacking turn two as a setup attack isn't very good.
No. Right. I mean, it's a basic, so you can get it play turn one. Well, you can. So if you turn one, you have the tool that reduces it by one energy of any type.
Yeah.
And then was there a supporter that helped get energy in
Yeah,
play?
yeah. There's a supporter that would do it. So you could do the supporter Crispin. So you could do Crispin,
And what did that
Sparkling Crystal. It
Crispin?
accelerates energy from your deck, and then you get an energy of a different type into your hand as well.
So you have to pull that off turn one. So you have to then play Lumineon V, I'm assuming, because you've got to hit the supporter turn one, or it's kind of useless.
Well, yeah, and you also need the tool. The tool's hard to get because you only have one copy of the tool.
Oh, that's
Um,
true. And we can't Arvin for it because then we can't use the supporter. So
yeah, and we can't secret box for it because
that's
you
our
can't
ace
play both.
spec as well. Yeah.
And I guess
So
you could town store, but
yeah, I mean, I could you drop in 4 copies of Town Store as well, which makes the deck less consistent. But if you put in 1 or 2 copies of Town Store, you probably don't hit it. So
yeah, I mean it's not that bad. Town store is also nice because you get 4 seal stone, but
yeah,
um,
it's not bad. You usually don't want to play 4 Town Stores though in a deck.
yeah,
I will say that, but you might need. Wow. Okay, so it's a ton of energy. So the question is, can you pull it off? And then is it, you have to then set yourself to win after this because this is a 2 prize Pokemon, 220 HP, which is fine, but there's a lot of decks that on turn 2 are going to one-shot you, right? So you're going to fall behind 2 prizes a lot of the time. So you have to then, the rest of the deck has to be good enough that you're just going to roll ahead.
yeah. So and then like 40 free energy attached to this Pokemon. Is that the attack you're using? Or are you using it to power up something else?
I mean, I think I want to power up something else if I could, right? And ideally, you might want to spread them around a little bit too, right?
Yeah,
Because
it does depend how much energy you hit as well, because you're like seeing a good chunk of your deck, but you can certainly have a pretty wide like variety or like wide array of numbers of energy you hit. You could hit like say you're playing 10 energies, you could hit like most of them, or you could just hit like not most of them. So
right. So I mean, maybe you need a heavier count of energies than I was thinking.
yeah, but I don't think you need like 20 energies, or like 30 energies. Certainly not. So
No, I'm just trying to think what it is that's going to give me the payoff to do the deck space I have to put in for this, which hurts the long-term consistency. Plus, I have this Pokemon that is going to get knocked out a lot of times. So what am I setting up off this that's worthwhile? And I'm not getting anything coming to mind immediately, I got to say.
yeah, I don't know. Like you could use it. So there are the other like the other stellar Pokemon. Of
Oh,
course, there's
yeah.
Trapghost, but there's going to be more.
Hmm.
So I don't know how many more. There's 4 that were leaked: Lapras, EX.
Hmm.
And there was the Trapghost, and the other 2. There's a stage 1 and stage 2, which are like okay. So you could do that.
Right. So maybe it's the stellar Pokemon. I'm assuming that's kind of the thought process behind it.
Yeah, that's what I think.
So, it's a lot to pull off. That's my concern with it. Turn one particularly, and like you
Yeah.
said, I don't think you want to do it later in the game. Probably you're going to end up being behind and losing games most of the time. Then.
Yeah, I did see Lil Dark Fury made a video on these, and he said that you could do Baxcalibur Zadu Matang. So yeah,
You can. Then you can
but
do it on
that
turn.
probably isn't very good.
No, you're setting that up. No, I mean that's probably not good. And I'm thinking, oh, am I playing an expanded now? This is my new Blissey deck, right?
Yeah.
Because I
Let's see
was
V,
looking
right?
for Blissey V because he's the goat, right? Um,
The goat, the goat.
so so it's crazy. Is it? Wow, I'm not sure. As I said, I was laughing when we read it off because looking at the top 20 cards in your deck is kind of insane. Um, I don't know what the payoff's going to be for it at this point though. So it'll be interesting to see what people can do with it.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting. There is not really any more support for this card. I mean, there's kind of some, there's not really much more support than what we saw before.
Okay.
But
Uh,
yeah, so
all right. There's no more
uh,
support for stellar Pokemon in
there's
this
one card
release.
which is a good card, but
Okay.
it's not powering this up. So yeah.
Okay.
Um, and then next we have Drednaw. Drednaw is really we have a Choodle, which is like not very good. I'd say it's like all right for a pre. Actually, no, I was gonna say earlier I said
No,
and
it's
like because I made my
bad.
own, but yes, 80 HP, which is bad.
Yeah, it's 80 and you want 70, and their attack cost is 3 colorless, which you don't want that.
Well,
And
but I think colorless is better than like not colorless. So I think it's like an okay attack
I
or like a
guess
pre-evolution.
you're
Like
never
it's
gonna you're never gonna want to put 3 energy to do 60 damage.
well,
And
but no, the idea is like if you're doing well, I was gonna say mimic you, but like there are certain things that wall certain Pokemon. So 60's high for a single prize basic, like pre-evolution, or like you're looking at Charmanders. Like if you have to use Charmander hit through like um I guess this isn't hitting through Cornerstone Mass Ogre Pontiacs really, but it's better than Charmander.
I probably have to have a Baxcalibur powered up. I'm just saying it's not great. I'd rather do 40 for 2, let's say, because I could do that more. And the retreat cost is 2, which you don't love, but I guess that's appropriate for the
Yeah.
Pokemon.
But anyway, whatever. So
Yeah.
then we have Drednaw here, which ability Impregnable Shell. If the an attack from your opponent's Pokemon would deal 200 damage or more to this Pokemon, prevent that
Hmm.
damage. And then we have an attack here, which is 80 or 160 for 3 colorless if they have damage on them. It does 160. If they don't have damage, it does 80. Pretty standard attack there.
Hmm.
But that's a pretty interesting ability.
That's a pretty funny one too. And so this is good. It's getting me to chuckle some. Not as much as the look at 20 cards, but this one, yeah. I mean, the opponent now doesn't want to do too much damage. Um, and obviously some decks are hard to avoid that. Most, I think they'll be able to deal with that, right? But that means to one shot you, they now have to do between 140 and 190. Any less, they don't one shot you anymore, and they don't do anything to you. So that's pretty interesting, right? So you're probably not getting one shot too often with this.
Yeah, and I think it's a good wall, like in like control decks,
Hmm.
or like a stall. It's a stall card, and then yeah, I think it's kind of interesting. It is payable. It's colorless, which is good. So you
Yeah,
could put this in the deck with like you can do double turbo plus something, and then
a
it's like
reversal as well.
yeah, you can reversal. So I think it's pretty good. Because like it's a single person that's not getting one shot. That's really rare. Um, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. I mean, to walling because this walls off a high. You put this in. You could put Mimikyu. You could put the walling of abilities. You have different options to kind of try to um, stop your opponents from damaging if you want to go with that route with this.
Yeah. Do you think we need to talk more about this card or not? Should we move on?
No, I think that's enough. It's pretty interesting. I'm not sure, how effective it'll be. I'm a little skeptical, but
Yeah. Oh, I will say one last thing. You could Heroes Cape this, and then there's 240, and then your opponent just can't one shot it at all, assuming they're not like doing effects from an attack. Um,
right. And there is
because you
jamming
can't.
tower too. Don't forget.
Yes.
It,
Yeah. But what about Pokemon Teach You live, right? Um,
jamming tower will
I think
probably
that's
they'll fix jamming tower and so it'll reduce the damage, but you'll probably it won't give the plus damage at HP, but you'll probably still give up 2 prizes for it. That's probably what'll happen.
wait, what?
Well, you won't get the extra HP from Heroes Cape, probably is my guess, but you'll
No,
still.
wasn't it Luxurious
Oh,
Cape?
luxurious cape. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
because
Yeah.
which is like similar. I think Luxurious Cape works with Jamming Tower. I don't know.
Okay, but
Um,
here just heroes cape, which gives plus 150. That's right. Injury
yeah,
spec.
100, 100.
Oh, plus 100. Okay. Oh, which
Yeah,
is the same with
150 would be
luxurious cape, but it's for any Pokemon and doesn't give up an
yeah.
extra prize. Okay.
Yeah. But then we have Salandit, which is not very good. I think it's worse than Choodle. Well, okay, HP is better, 70 HP is better. But
I'd
anyway,
rather
then we have
have Sandlit. Plus he can
Salandit.
attack for 1 energy, and his retreat cost
Yeah,
is 1. So I'd rather have this than that. But
yeah. We can debate another day. And then
yeah,
we have Salazzle for with 3. You can do 130, discard an energy, whatever. But then you have Sudden Burn,
yeah.
and this says for 2 colors, your opponent discards a card from their hand. However, if this Pokemon evolved this turn, they discard 2 more. So they discard 3 cards from their hand.
What? Okay, that's really for a double colorless. So you might
Yeah,
be
and then
doing
they choose as well.
right. They choose. We've got hand you, hand trimmer gets you down to 5 cards. Right. It's both players discard down to 5. Is that right?
Yeah,
I haven't really
yeah.
played it. So, and
No,
then
I haven't really played it either. I don't think I've ever seen it played against me either. I've seen it discarded.
yeah, I might have played it in like some type of stall or mill deck.
Yeah. Oh, you should play it in United Wings. You like get like a really big hand, and then you
Mhm.
hand trim it yourself.
And we do have the new United Wings cards coming out, so that's all. We got or one new one wing is coming out
Yep.
uh, before this. So look, this one Sudden Burn is interesting. Rather than milling, you're thinning their hand, which makes it tough. It's payable with a double colorless. Does it go? So my thought is, does it go in a control deck? Probably, right? Which has double turbo. Sorry. I'm probably not putting in a fire attacking deck. I don't think because the damage attack's not really good, and I don't think I want to be attaching energies one at a time to power this up.
Yeah. So you're not very from. So first of all, you can unfair stamp, right? You can unfair stamp your opponent, and then
Yeah.
just or Iona or Roxanne, but that's later on.
Mm-hmm.
So they probably have like their board set up. But like unfair stamp, and then just get rid of their whole hand, which is like really
Right.
annoying. And that's because there's the Arbok EX, right? But that's 3 darkness, so that's kind of hard to use.
Right. And I'm doing some expanded. So if you Marnie them, they're down to one card in hand.
Yeah,
Um,
but then you're not so familiar with the new cards, right? The cards that are out in like Japan and stuff.
no, the ones we don't have here, not so much now.
Yeah. So there was a card that I thought said wasn't that good
Mm-hmm.
like in the past, but it's really good with this, and it's 06 something, 06 scheme, I think, is
Okay.
how it's translated. Your opponent discards cards from their hand until they have 3 cards in hand as a supporter.
Okay. Yeah. I was thinking there was a new supporter that would work with this. Okay. So that's the one. So now you Zerosas, you sudden burn. You have to evolve that turn, and your opponent has no hand.
Yeah, which I think is broken, like completely broken, like really, really, really silly good. I don't know if I'm overreacting, but that seems like really good. Like if your opponent, like turn 2, your opponent just doesn't have any cards, that seems bad for them.
Yeah. Now look, you have to evolve the turn you do it.
Well,
So
yeah, but it's turn 2, so it's not like you can't even not evolve that turn. I guess you could have TM evoed and then not like done it, but
right. No, but I get it, and I was doing some expanded stuff with like the Gengar Mimikyu that the opponent can't play a card like their next turn. So stopping your opponent for a turn is a big deal. I get that. The question I'm just wondering is, you do that because you're stopping them for a turn so you can set up what you're doing, and I'm not sure what deck wants that because you're putting these cards in deck space, using up your attack. What am I doing that I'm prepping my bench while I'm doing this, I assume is what you're kind of saying.
but then it's not like it just stops them from 1 turn because they don't have any cards, so now they're just in top deck mode.
Right.
Like it's not like Gengar Mimikyu. Gengar Mimikyu, for those of you who don't know, it has an attack. It's a GX attack, so once per game. But pretty much it just says they can't. It just says they can't play any cards next turn.
Right.
They can still attack and use abilities and stuff, but they're already in play, but they can't play any cards. But then they still have all their cards in hand, and they might have
Right.
more because they can draw them cards.
Right.
But then they can just play them the next turn.
No, correct. This is one turn, but since it's evolving, and you have to attach I assume, a double turbo. You can't just Turo and keep going every turn with this. Yeah. Plus, you can't
Yeah, but you don't
Turo.
need to do it every turn because like it's not like they have a hand anymore. It's like gone. And now they are top decking. But if you control their top decks, then
Uh, yeah. Well, what was the card there were some cards that you were laughing at me recently about, right? There was like the one you could look at your opponent's top card and you could discard it. Was that an
there
attack
was
though, or was that an ability? I
no,
forget
I think
now.
that was more Pico, which is I think right, which is
Maybe
your top card. So
oh,
that's
my
good.
top card. That doesn't help now.
But
Um,
there's a few. There's Porygon, which is an attack, looks at the top 4, rearranges them.
mhm.
Then there's Gothitelle, and Gothitelle um says it's an ability that you can look at the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck
Yeah.
and put one back, put the other on the bottom, and you can do that. And like, but it's not like this is kind of hard to pull off because you probably want multiple Gothitelles. But
Right.
like, if you do this, you probably win because they can't do anything like ever,
Y-
assuming they don't have an onboard launch.
Well, right. You have
So
to do it before your opponent sets up, and we do obviously have engines that defeat this, right? Obviously, if you have the barrel in play, this is no good. If they get down um, the Drakeloak, it's no good, right? If they get
yeah,
Pidgey out of EX, it's no good. So you got to get it early, which you might be able to do. You have to play the supporter though with this, which means it's harder to set up immediately.
yes.
Um,
I think it's kind of like the handlock deck, right? Well, there've been a few
the
handlock
old
decks, but it
like
is like a
chip
handlock deck.
chip ice axe and those things,
Yeah,
which was a really
the deck that like
hardcore.
got banned. Like
Yeah,
every
like
card in
what
the
was it,
deck
like
got
five
banned.
cards or something? I don't remember what it
I
was.
think it was like 10. I don't remember. It was a lot. It was like Reset Stamp, Chip Chip Ice Axe, Lieutenant Surge's Strategy, Jussie and James. Um, and there was also like Iron Challenge Amulet, which is a little different. There was
Okay.
like two different decks, but like a lot of stuff got banned.
Yeah, I was thinking back to that type of deck with this. That this is the potential for a hardcore lock deck, right? Between the Salazzle, the supporter, and then these other attacks that control their top deck. It's a lot like that. Now you've got to, well, you have to be like getting rid of cards in their deck too, or something along the way, right? Because, um,
Yeah, so you kind of need to mill them, which is kind of awkward because you need to mill and then also control their top deck,
yeah.
which is hard to do. You could Porygon to control the top cards of their deck, and then
Hmm.
after that you can you mill. So you like put the card you want. So you look at the top four, you put a card you don't want on top,
Hmm.
and then the card below that is a card that, or the card that they don't want on top. The card below that is a card that they do want. The card below that again is a card that they don't want, and then a card that they do want. Or wait, I
Yeah.
don't remember. Like it, so you can like mill, and then
Okay.
like rearrange the deck, but it's kind of weird.
Yeah, so because I assume, yeah, you're going to have to deck them out if you're going with this really hardcore control strategy, I assume. But since you're putting all the cards back in their deck all the time, they're just going to draw them eventually, unless you can mill
Well, I
them
mean, this
out of the
is
way.
discarding though. So like with Zero
This
6, even
one,
if you are just in Zero 6 plan is
hmm
or scheme or whatever. So you are getting rid of like probably 5 cards from their deck, which are some of which are good. So you are still. I know when you talk about mill, you like to say that it is removing resources that they will need later on.
hmm
In addition to obviously just getting them closer to losing.
right. But you're also talking about the attack that rearranges what's their top decking, right? And that's
Oh yeah,
not
that's why you need
milling.
to. No, that's why you need to mill them at some point to
So you're
figure
so you're
that
going to
out.
be switching between these, and these are all evolution Pokemon as well, right?
Well, the Salazzle and the Gothitelle, which are the ability, or this one's an attacker, but you're only
Hmm.
attacking this once, and the Gothitelle's an ability. But
Okay.
that you I don't know, you don't have to do Gothitelle. You could do the Porygon and the um I don't know, like Squovit or whatever. Are basics. You could do Litwick or Squovit, it doesn't matter. Well, they're different.
So, I mean, the tough part is I'm starting to see why they wanted Scoop Up Net banned rather than eradicating it, right? Because a card like this with Scoop Up Net would be very good, right? Because,
Yeah, I think. I mean, I don't think you're attacking with it that much. Like, if they top deck research and then just get out of it, then yeah, you'd want to do this again. But if they don't top deck like a draw supporter, um, I know there are times in the Super Net would be very good though.
I assume over the course of a game, you're going to be using the Salazzle attack multiple times, though, right? You're going to be kind of
Maybe.
mixing things up some, I assume.
I mean, you'd rather not. You'd rather just use it once, I think.
Yeah. Um,
Uh,
Look, I like the idea of a like I like the idea of a tough control deck, right? That's super strong when it's in place, but I think hard to set up and hard to navigate. And I think this could be that. I think this will become a very hard deck to navigate for both to pilot, right, as well as to play against. This is probably the type of control deck when you're going up against. You're trying to turbo your setup, right?
yeah. Uh-huh.
Which control decks now sometimes are more patience have been sometimes the better strategy. But now this is one. It's going to be a
Patience against them.
yeah. This is going to be who can set up first race, which was kind of how it was with the Chip Ice Axe. Whichever
Yeah,
player
but that
set
was like a you set up turn like 5, right?
it
Um,
was,
and
yes.
this is like you set up turn. Well, yeah, I don't know. You kind of set up turn 2 or yeah, probably turn 2. But then it's not like exactly a full lock turn 2, but it's like a bunch of the lock turn 2.
Right. In yes. And you're constantly having to figure out how to kind of keep your opponent in the worst play in a bad spot the rest of the game. So look, I like it. I think it's interesting. Honestly, I if this becomes really good, it's going to be very unfun to play the game. I will say that too, right? I don't
Yeah, yeah, I agree
if
with
this
that.
is like half of the meta because it's that, I'm glad. Look, this is not
Even
as
10% of the meta, that's not good.
yeah. Like I play Snorlax decks. I respect it. I'm glad there's not as many Snorlax decks as there could be for how strong it is. Let's say because it's not that fun. And this would be, in a game where you don't even get to essentially ever play the game because you're never drawing anything useful. It's not fun.
Yeah, but we'll see if this is actually any good.
Yeah.
So this is that was the card that I think is like super broken.
Okay.
Um, because I said to you before that I thought there was a card that's super broken, but there are some really good cards as well. This is not the card. I also said there's some cards that help out Ditto. This is not the card that helps out Ditto.
No, I wouldn't think so. So okay, no, it's interesting. So we will see how it turns out.
Yep. But next up, we got ourselves an Arcaludon. Arcaludon evolves from Duraludon. The Duraludon is whatever. But Arcaludon here, ability. Well, first of all, it's attack 160 for 3. And then the ability here, Steel Bridge. Your
Hmm.
Pokemon with any metal energy attached to them have no retreat cost.
Okay, that's always nice. Obviously, I don't know how many like how often that's going to become a factor, but it's a nice thing. It doesn't help you with things that actually trap you like Snorlax, though.
Yeah. One interesting thing as well, Luminous Energy, it's every type, so it is
Yep.
metal. So you can use Armoroots to move energies around,
Hmm.
and then which fire energies, but as I said, luminous energy is any type, but then you can
Yeah.
move the fire to your active, and then it's now a metal, and then you can get free retreats. That's kind of funny.
Hmm. Okay, but yeah, and as I'm looking at it, this is to pair with the attack. Why it partly has this ability.
Yeah, it can attack next turn.
Right. So I don't know. Iron Blaster 160 and it can't attack the next turn. So which is I mean it's not overwhelming that attack though on an
No, it's
evolution
not that good.
Pokemon.
I think it's there for its ability. So if like metal, like remember Zacian V, obviously if you played that was
Hmm.
good, it was very good, and it couldn't attack next turn, and it played lots of switch. So I think Arcaludon would have been good for that.
Yeah, I mean, what is the metal now? The is the Dialga V Star the best metal Pokemon? Oh,
Yeah, I looked. There's
and
two. There's
Goldengo, right?
some. Yeah,
Is
Goldengo and Dialga, which I think Dialga could play this, and Goldengo probably doesn't play this.
right.
Um,
And I don't know that even Dialga needs this, right?
no, I don't think it does, but I think it's a nice card to have and could be useful at some point.
Yeah, I don't think the Pokemon are around right now that really want this. Or look, or Lugia with the Legacy Energy, you can then switch out what you want. If you have the Legacy, you have to have the Legacy to attach to retreat though. Or yeah, probably that. Right, Luminous would as well, but that could only be the only energy attached to it. So
Yeah, only special energy, but
yeah,
so then we have Glass Trumpet. This is probably the most interesting card
okay,
of these, from what I've heard other people say. So it's an item card. You can only use
hmm
this if you have a Terra Pokemon in play, which isn't like that hard to do.
right.
Um, Choose up to 2 of your bench colorless Pokemon and attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to each of them.
Two, okay, benched. Any colorless, two colors, so one energy to each of any type you want. So, okay. I mean, it's made to pair with the stellar Pokemon from maybe from the last
Yeah, the
release,
Trapagos.
the Trapagos. So and it's an item, so that means you can do multiple ones or every, whatever. You can still play your supporter. You can get it with Arvin, let's say. You have to have the energies in the discard already to do it at the start of the game. It's a little tricky. Um, but it's a good card. I'm trying to think off the bat, top of my mind, what I want it with. Um, so, what are your thoughts as I kind of ponder a
Well,
little
so
bit?
this was the card I said with Ditto, right?
Okay,
Um,
because it's
'Cause
colorless, and
yeah.
so Ditto from from Go, right? I believe,
Yeah, I think so.
and it copies the attacks of any basics in the discard pile without a rule box. You have to
Yep.
have the energy of those Pokemon and how to power it up with what attackers you want is the challenge with it. So this you can get. So you can have a bunch of different energies in your deck, is what you're thinking. You just have to get them in the discard pile, which isn't impossible to do. Certainly, it's hard to do like immediately. At least get multiple ones of different types per se. Um, but yeah, that makes it interesting. So you probably want like an attack cost of two, or say one colored and say two colorless, so you can use with a double turbo because you want to power up the Ditto in one turn usually.
Yeah. So I didn't look at cards yet
Hmm.
for this. And it's interesting because these can be Pokemon that you can't really power up normally. So there's a Tapu Bulu that's not out yet. I don't
Hmm.
think it does 220 for grass, colorless. Of course, being grass is sometimes nice, but that's kind of interesting, and that's
Hmm.
something you can copy. You can't power it up as a grass Pokemon, but you could power it up as Ditto, which is kind of interesting.
Hmm. You're right, right, because you can't get the energy onto only colorless. So, yeah, I mean, you could obviously use energy switch. I don't think you're going to want to be doing that with this card. Um, there are obviously attacks that do damage based upon energy in play you have, right? Masquerada EX is one, correct? If I'm remembering that right,
Um,
or
Wait, they do
no?
what? No, I
That
don't.
you do damage. What are the Pokemon that do damage based on how much energy you have attached to all your Pokemon? You know what I'm saying?
There's Hydrapple EX. I don't know what you were. Not Meowscarada EX.
No,
I don't know
there's
what
a grass
Pokemon.
one or a psychic one or something like that. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's like 30 per
I
energy
I mean
attached to
the
all your Pokemon.
yeah, I know there are Pokemon like that. I have no idea what Pokemon you're referencing there.
That's
Um,
fine. We don't need to try to figure it out now. I don't think.
no.
I think
Um,
I think it's a Terra type actually. It's an evolution Terra type. Um, but any attack like that, then you could use this to just get energies on the bench as well, which is useful. Um, besides that, Ditto's always been tricky. Now it only goes to the bench, and obviously there are things that accelerate energy to the bench.
oh, is it Mewtwo EX? Is that what you're thinking of?
It might be, yeah. That could be it.
Okay. Um, which is
That's
a it's Psych Energies and
psychic.
it's a Lightning Pokemon.
Okay, all right, that could
Basic.
be. It's 30 per psychic attached to all your Pokemon, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so you could with that, and because obviously, if you wanted, if you wanted, say, a barrel engine too, in any deck like that, now you could, have some colorless Pokemon, you could use it for that as well.
Yeah.
So if you did it with Ditto, you have to switch then from the bench to the active. That's always a little awkward. We do have I do like the Tatsugiri, right? That if it's in the active, looks for supporter. You put that with your rescue board, so that then you can accelerate to the bench, search for a supporter, swing into the active each turn. That might be something I would do. Um, copying dragon Pokemon as well would be nice. I'm not sure if there's any good basic dragon without a rule box, though. Nothing comes to
Yeah, I'm not
mind.
sure. I mean, there's just like these Pokemon, and these Pokemon that we're considering are Pokemon that we just haven't really considered before because there's no way to power them up.
Right.
Um, So yeah, I'm not really sure what Pokemon would be the best. I'm just like glancing. There's a Holucha and a Tinglu, which are kind of cool. I mean, there's just a bunch of like
Hmm.
mediocre Pokemon that are like all right. Because Mewtwo Mew is one of my favorite decks ever. I guess it was expensive, but it's
Hmm.
fun. It's like it's essentially just copy stuff, and it's pretty cool. Um, and there's just like a lot of Pokemon obviously in the game that all do like a lot of different things that are all pretty cool.
Right. And there's a lot of Pokemon that generally, when you look at them, aren't very good. But with cards like this and Ditto, it opens up more possibilities. So it's an interesting card. You have to have a Terra Pokemon in play. Now, and of course, with Ditto, if that's what we're doing, Ditto can't copy any Terra Pokemon because they're all rule box Pokemon. So
Yeah,
um, you got to think through what Terra Pokemon you want. That's kind of what Terra Pokemon gives you value. That's just sitting there that you don't want to attack with.
yeah, it's probably I think we talked about this with the stadium as well, and I think we said there's Trapagos EX, there's
Hmm.
Lapras, probably not Lapras. Then there's the Ogerpon, so you could do either the Fighting Ogerpon to Wall or the Water Ogerpon to Trap, which I think are both all right.
Yeah. 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 So you got to kind of figure that, and that depends on what type of energy you're going to want and things like that. So what pairs in with the deck you're playing. Um,
Yeah,
you're not usually going to get more than one like glass trumpet per turn just as an item. You probably either have
yeah. I
one.
mean, you could definitely push to two. It's kind of like Mirage Gate. I mean, Mirage Gate usually play one per turn, but usually because they can accelerate to the same Pokemon. So this you
Yeah.
wanna like you playing them early is nice. Um, or you could use it with Cloth. You can copy Cloth with because you can't you get extra energy on it, so you can do Cloth with like Hisuian Electrode or not Hisuian, with the the Brute Bonnet,
With Brute
and then you
Bonnet.
can yeah, and then you can poison the Ditto and then accelerate to it,
And the
or the
Ditto,
other way around. But
Right.
quality stuff.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So there's yeah. Though it opens up potential for things. I don't know that it's going to see competitive play. I'm not
Oh, there's this
sure.
Orthworm that does 240 for 3 if you have 3 or fewer cards in deck from Metal Colorless Colorless.
Okay. Yeah.
Quality there.
Yeah. I mean, look, you can power up your. Well, no, you can't. But Orthworm is. Well, isn't that a water Pokemon? Or no, it's
No,
colorless.
it's metal.
It's metal. So
No,
how do
but
you?
you copy it with Ditto.
Oh, it
Because
did. You
I'm looking,
copy it with
I'm
Ditto.
literally looking through every basic Pokemon in the standard format right now.
Okay.
Um, so
Um.
there's also Iron Jugulus. So Barium Beam does 150 for 5, but if it has Future Booster Energy Capsule attached, it's for
Mhm.
3. So you can stick the Future Booster Energy Capsule onto Ditto. Well, you could just accelerate to Iron Jugulus, but you can stick the Future Booster Energy Capsule on Ditto. You don't get the benefit, but at least you can attack for 3. Quality stuff right here.
Oh, wow, hot takes there.
It's
But yeah,
not hot. It's just true. It's not
it's
good. I didn't say it
it's
was good.
okay. No, I mean, looking for attacks you can copy that are use multiple types of energy is probably what you're gonna get the most value out of with Glass Trumpet, right? That's where the unique space is with
Yeah, or
this.
just or it could just be like you have a tool. It's kind of like Mewtwo and Mew, and I think it has the ability to do something like that. Um, yeah. So I've not done Ditto Box like ever, but it's a cool Pokemon. But there are lots of other uses for Glass Trumpet as well, right? So you haven't thought of any others, right? But I've heard some people talk about it.
Um, no, I'm trying to think. We both like Blissey EX some, so obviously that will accelerate to Blissey, and you can
Yeah.
move those energies around.
Yeah, I
Um,
think that's really good because I like the fighting Ogerpon in that. So you can
mhm.
accelerate energies to Blissey, and then as you said, you move them around, which is just really good.
Right, and you play the Monkey Dory as well, potentially. So again, you can get the fighting, you can get the darkness, you can slide them around how you need to. Because if you're going to take full advantage, you need to have at least two. If you just have Blissey for your colorless, you need to have at least two Blissies to get the two energies accelerated with one Glass Trumpet.
Yeah. Um, but I think Glass Trumpet's a really fun card. You can also use it with the Arceus V Star. I think
Hmm.
Arceus V Star. I don't know. That's such a weird thing, right? I
All
mean,
right,
you're probably
I
not playing Terra EXs normally,
hmm
and
right. You have to have a Terra Pokemon, which obviously with Arceus you don't love, but yeah, maybe. I mean, obviously you could. I'm also wondering is a Lugia deck going to want this? Because with Lugia you have a lot of colorless energy you can accelerate. Now you have the potential to chuck some colored energies into play as well
yeah,
more
this seems
easily.
like awkward. That's like a funny combo because people did play like Lightning Energy, and sometimes they still do. I don't know if they usually do
Hmm.
play Lightnings for Iron Hands EX. You could do
Right.
Waters or Fightings or something like that, and that's an interesting idea. I didn't like think about that.
So yeah, okay, but yeah, it's I like it. It opens up lines of play and deck possibilities, which is always good.
Yeah. And then we have one last card here.
Hmm.
So, Uncommon Fossil. You know what is my favorite Pokemon of all time?
Your favorite Pokemon of all time? I
Yeah, a card.
card. I'm not sure what that
It's
one is.
yeah. No, I don't know what is either, but I am a
Okay.
big fan of ADP. You know that. I'm not
Yes,
actually a
your
fan. I
boy.
like to say it. It's the classic. It's the GOAT.
The most
Dealing
hated
card to win
card
the
of all time is your
yeah.
favorite card of all
The
time.
only it's not actually my favorite card, but it was good. It won, and it's the only card to win the World Championships after it rotated. So everyone's like VMAX is so good. No, it didn't do that. Um, so no, but
Well,
it's a card. Kind of annoying. Iron Hands isn't
hmm
people's favorite cards, but we got this new card here, Briere, which says supporter. You can only play this if your opponent has exactly 2 prize cards remaining. But
okay.
until the end of this turn, if your opponent's active is knocked out by damage from one of your Terra Pokemon's attacks, take one more prize card.
Wow, that's
It,
weird.
it
That's
yeah.
interesting. I mean, ADP for people that have weren't playing around back then. After the GX attack, you take one extra prize. So, which was obviously very good. So, taking extra prizes is very good. It has to be by a Terra Pokemon. Obviously, there's a lot of good Terra Pokemon. If you had to, you can even use Charizard EX, I guess. Um,
Yeah, you can charge that. Yeah, you can charge that EX to like take 3 prizes. Now, imagine if Mew VMAX was in the phone. You could not. You could be like, oh, I've only taken 2 prizes, and then you could one shot their Mew VMAX for 4 prizes. But
um,
unfortunately, we can't do that anymore.
and we have my that's something great like Fortress EX. You could on turn 2 you could take advantage of this, right? You knock out 2 Fortress
Yes,
EXs.
yes. I don't think that's so ideal. You do have Dustnor and
That's
Dusclops,
what I was
which
thinking because this one, right? Those were the ones from the last set of cards, right?
well, they're actually out in Japan now.
Okay.
They yeah, they're in the
Oh
mini
yeah,
set.
yeah. So they're coming out with their next set, and those give you the option
Yes,
to
next mini set as opposed to this is the next main set.
full set, right? The next mini set, and it's a stage 1 and a stage 2, right? And its ability, you can not choose to knock out that Pokemon. Your opponent takes a prize, and you put some damage counters on them, depending. I think it's 5 or 12, depending whether it's stage 1 or stage 2.
I think it's 13 for the stage 2, but yeah.
Okay, but because with this, it has to be a 2, and obviously, depending on the prize trade, you might never get to 2. You might skip over from 3 to 1. So
Yeah,
having
especially and this is in your opponent's control. So they'll want to avoid this because I think this card's going to see play. Like in Charizard, I think it's
Mhm.
going to see play. Maybe Dragapult. And then of course with the this intended to be used with the Stellar Pokemon as well, which it might be played in.
Right. So if they're trying to your opponent's trying to avoid 2, you can if they're sitting at 3, you can knock out your own Pokemon, get it to 3, and then ideally win the game. Have a 3 prize turn.
Yeah. So and I think that's like pretty I think this is a pretty good card. Do you think it's good?
See, what I'm trying to figure out is I want to pair this with 2 prizes. I get an extra prize, and then the following turn I have to make sure I don't lose. Then I use the Slowbro. They're down to 1 prize. They can take 1 prize. I want to take 1 prize, and then I take 2 prizes for free, right? So
Yeah.
now
Or they don't take any prize, you can play this card multiple times.
that that
So
sounds
like
even
they
better, actually. Yes.
Yeah. So you go, you like they're down to 2 prizes. You hit them with an unfair stamp, right? And then you play this
Hmm.
card, and then you knock them out. And so you haven't take any prizes, and then you knock out a 2 prizer, and then they're unfair stamps, so maybe they can't do anything. And then you play this again and take 3 more prizes again the next turn.
So I can let me so I can take an extra prize with this. I can take an extra prize with Iron Hands, right? So I'm now if it's a 3
Well,
prize.
but this is no, but
Oh, that
because
has to be
it
a
needs to be a
Terra,
Terra.
and there are
Yeah.
and that's not a Terra. So okay, so
No.
can I? I'm trying to figure. So in expanded, because I already have like Greed and VMAX that takes an extra prize as well. Can I take all 6 prizes with a single knockout with this?
Um. Yeah. Well, I think it. Well, no,
I think
because
I'd
Green
come.
VMAX isn't a Terra, but you
That's
can one
true.
shot like a. You can do
That's true. I
Or
forget.
you can just ADP plus like you can ADP Green VMAX to one shot like a Mew VMAX or something, or to knock out a Mew VMAX. Or
Okay.
you could like Sky Steals. I don't know. There are ways to do it.
Probably do it.
So
Yeah. But in standard, I can't take 6 prizes with 1 attack. Not yet.
uh,
Well, I mean,
not on one
well,
Pokemon.
with bench, but not right. Not with one. Just knocking out the active. So I can take potentially 4 prizes. If
Yeah,
it's an EX, well, until those rotate. I mean, those are tough to. Well, it could already have damage on it. So
yeah. So so now we have a little bit of time left. So is there more to talk about with any of these cards?
um, no, I think we covered them pretty well. So there's definitely some interesting cards. Like this compared to the last set, which was all colorless Pokemon. I think it had
Yeah,
this.
less like set of reveals, not like set.
Yeah, the last reveal of a stellar Pokemon plus other ones, and that was focused on cards that supported the stellar, and I think and it supported the colorless stellar Pokemon in particular too. This is a better set of cards, more interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if they're better. I mean, they're different. They're very different.
Yeah, I mean, there's more cards that you can do different things with, which I like potentially. A lot of them may
Yeah, I
be
think. I mean,
bad
it's not
things.
intended to be one package.
No, but I think there's a lot, but whatever this is, like 12 cards or whatever, there's a number of more interesting cards than a typical random set of 12 cards.
Yeah, that's true. But so now I think so. I've been skimming through a bunch of cards,
Hmm.
like all the cards,
Are we
and
looking for
I've pulled
Ditto
up.
now?
Yeah, I'm looking for Ditto.
Okay.
So I got some ones here, and I want you to tell me what you think.
All right.
So first of all, I've got Flamigo. This one, if Flamigo's on your bench, it does 60 to your opponent's active for 2 colors and 60 to their bench. That's not bad. A little
All right,
weird.
if any
Just need a Flamigo in the
Flamigos,
discard and on the bench, but
mm-hmm, for now,
yeah. Or you
right?
could just have
I
attack
don't
with
want to.
Flamigo as colors.
Right, so this doesn't need Ditto necessarily because
Yeah.
it's Flamigo, and obviously you could pay it with double turbo, but that's bad because now you're doing 40 and 40. So
Yeah.
um, 60 and 60 is not bad. This could go. Obviously, it's not great either. I would say, but like with a Frostlass type deck, maybe.
Yeah. So is this? But you can't. Yeah. So not Ditto, but yeah, with Frostlass.
No, I don't think I want to play Ditto and Frostlass together. But since this was a colorless, I probably would just do Flamigo itself, which is still, I think, it's still an interesting option. I think.
Yeah. So not making the cut in Ditto, but as its own deck.
Yeah.
Okay. This next one's not very good. It's for 3. It's 90s to the active. For Lightning and Lightning Colors,
Why don't you
90 to
tell
the
me so I
active.
can type it in?
90 Maridon from Scarlet and Violet, which does 30 to the one of their bench and 90 to their active. I don't know why I chose this one.
Well, that one's also not good because it's two colored Pokemon, right? Two lightning
Energy.
Pokemon
Yeah.
plus the color, so you can't power it up in one turn.
I
Still,
mean, you can. Well, you can because you can play 2 things. 2 what's it called?
oh, I could two
Super
glass
horns or whatever.
trumpets.
Glass
What?
trumpet. There we go.
I could also just play one
Electric
electric
generator.
generator.
Yeah, but you need to get lucky. There's electric generator. It's an item. It says play this card, and that's all it says. Play this card, shuffle your deck.
Okay, I mean, there's a bunch of setup to make this glass trumpet work. That too. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah.
So okay, I'm not loving Maridon. That's not
No.
what I'm
Yeah.
doing. So
Um, we got Zamazenta though. Zamazenta you're familiar with, right?
yeah, I'm trying to remember it.
Should I say what it does?
Yeah.
It does. It is the metal colorless. It does
Hmm.
100, but 220 if one of your Pokemon was knocked out last turn, which
Yeah.
will be common. And that's going to be. And metal colorless is not like. I mean, it's the same as Maridon essentially, but that's like pretty good, pretty interesting.
Yeah. It's okay. I mean, look, the thing is, if you want it in a Ditto box, though, the HP's higher, which is generally good. It has metal shield, so ability, so it takes 30 less damage, which is good
Yeah,
as
but it's like
well.
you need like Matang to power it up, right?
You do, but with a Ditto box, I'm going to want other metal attackers in the Ditto box probably to do it. I don't think I want Ditto just to attack with Zamazenta.
Yeah, I
What
mean
I've
it's
done.
probably the best because you have Snorlax as well, right? Snorlax, which does 180 for 3, and then you put yourself to sleep.
Hmm.
And you need to flip double heads. So do you think this is
Better than
which do
that.
you think is better? Yeah, because obviously doing more damage is good, but yeah, but then
Yeah.
but then it's 2 metals, so
I mean, there's multiple Snorlaxes you can attack with. You said which one? It does. Oh no, it
the
does
180
30,
for 3.
180 for 3. There's also it does 130 for 3 and 32 itself.
That seems worse.
Yeah, well, it is probably being
So which
asleep
one is
isn't
this?
good.
Oh, this is the one with the leftovers one. Yeah.
I don't love the fact that you're asleep means you're probably not attacking the next turn, right? I guess you
I
did,
guess you could switch, or you're probably knocked out as well. You don't have a lot of HP. You have
especially
70.
right
Is
with
the
Ditto,
Ditto.
you are
Like you
knocked
could
out.
just use Snorlax as well. You could just attack with Snorlax.
Yeah. Um, I mean, then why don't we bring up my one of the guys from my Ditto box? I had Galarian Zapdos, which was awesome, but he's
Yeah, I
not
have
not
it. I have it pulled up here.
not in
This
format
is
anymore, unfortunately. Because he for 3 with what fighting colorless, it did what 70 and your opponent was paralyzed. I
yeah,
think
you did also discard all the energy.
yes. So I did it with Claydol. It was awkward. But also in that deck had Terrakion. So maybe you put Terrakion in this Ditto box.
Yeah, which does for fighting colors, Cavern Tackle 120.
Right.
But then during your opponent's next turn, immune to all attacks, not effects of attacks, but just attacks.
Right.
And you can't use it back-to-back turns on any Pokemon. The Cavern Tackle attack.
Right. So if you're going to having like metal colorless, which is one way you could do a fighting colorless as well with some other fighting options. I
Yeah,
mean, obviously,
and this also doesn't like it's not going to get knocked out. So that's really nice. I mean that you don't need to like play 2 more. What is it? Glass Trumpet? I don't. Is that what it was? Oh
right.
yes. And so you don't need to like play 2 more of that again.
The Terrakion wants to be with Ditto. You want to attack with Ditto, and copy the Terrakion because if you have the Ditto, the Terrakion the active, you can't attack at all. It only has the one attack. You can't use it. You can't switch and reset it at all. So you have to attack with something else. So with the Ditto, you want to copy something else. Then you need another fighting colorless attacker, which
Yeah.
I'm not sure
But it
what
could be
that
like
is right
even if it's
now.
just like okay, so we got another Pokemon. We got Earthworm here from
Mm-hmm.
Metal Colorless. So these are you could use Metal Fighting, so you could play both of
Mm-hmm.
these. Crunch Time Rush. This is the one I said it earlier, but I don't think you're paying that much attention to us. But it has does 90 for 3 for the
Mm-hmm.
for Metal Colorless. But if you have 3 or fewer cards in deck, it does 150 more. So you're hitting 240 here for 3, which is pretty good. That's more than Zamazenta. Um, yeah.
Well, you can also this one's better in that you can you accelerate your own energy. You can attach a double turbo, right? So,
That's true, yeah.
but how many turns are you playing in the game with three or fewer cards in your deck?
Probably not more than 1 because you're probably gonna lose after, like,
So
a
you're gonna
turn or
get
2.
one attack with Earthworm with the big damage over the course
Yeah,
of your game,
big
right?
damage, which isn't even, like, that big, but, it's kinda big.
Right. It's 90 in 150, so you're doing what is it, 240. So you're not one-shotting evolved EX even.
Yeah, but we got one of my classic favorites,
Go ahead.
Mimikyu here, uh, with Perplex and Worst Gift. So Worst Gift is the attack, one of my favorite attacks ever, to be honest. It's Psychic Colorless. I've not played this in quite a while, but it does 10 damage for each damage counter on all of your opponent's Pokemon. This is
Hmm.
doing pretty big damage or no damage. Who knows? It can do anywhere from 0 to like 10,000, not 10,000, but like 1,000.
Hmm.
So 1,000 damage for 2, perfect. Um, I should play this with Froslass in standard actually, but
Yeah, you have that. There's also there's a Jinx, right?
what?
I think
Which
there's a
Jinx?
Jinx from
There was the
Silver
control one.
Tempest, I think.
Oh yeah, the control one with alluring dance, which the gust
I'm
and
looking for,
confuse.
wait. Wait. No, that wasn't what I was thinking about that at all. Maybe it wasn't Jinx. I thought it was 10 plus 10 per damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon.
Oh, you're thinking of Farfetch'd.
Did I get the wrong Pokemon?
Farfetch'd from yeah, from Brilliant Stars is 20 plus 10 per. Or maybe you're thinking of there's some. Oh wait, no, maybe Jinx does. You're thinking of the
I
other
think it's a
Jinx, which
different
is
Jinx.
yeah, the Selfish Lips one, which is 10 plus 10 for each damage counter your opponent's active. But Farfetch is just going to be 10 more than that. Um,
Okay.
so you could do that, and that's 20 plus 10 for each damage counter on your opponent's active, which is pretty solid. I guess. I
Hmm.
mean, it's a good finisher. Um,
Yeah. The Farfetch'd is also colorless
yeah, Farfetch'd is colorless,
for
so you
two.
could just do.
Okay.
And then there's of course Spinda, the spread one, Sableye, obviously from Lost Zone. I don't know. That's kind of weird because you can Mirage Gate. It's a very similar card to Mirage Gate Glass Trumpet, right? So you
Hmm.
could do both together, which seems bold, but it's something. Mawile
Right. Yeah.
as
I
well.
mean, Mawile, you probably slot Mawile in, I would think. You could put in if you think you just need to search, you could put Tatsugiri and search your deck for any two cards. I mean, you're just getting smacked the following turn, but
Well, you switch to the bench.
oh, that's true. And then you send up, yeah,
Snorlax. No, I don't know.
Snorlax or Klefki or something. Shut off some
Yeah, there are
abilities
lots of things.
or Mimikyu.
Yeah, the other Mimikyu,
Yes, the other Mimikyu.
not
Um,
the Mimikyu with worst skin.
no, you could do colorless with Great Tusk with the mill. Now you have to play. You want to play the ancient supporters with that, but you could
Yeah,
put
which should probably not be Professor Sada's because I know what you're accelerating to.
right. So, but the other card's not bad. It gets through the deck, right? So you
Yeah,
could put in Great Tusk as an option, right? Is that 'cause that's part of what the Ditto
yeah, that's an
boxes
interesting
are.
option. There's Bouffalant, which lost its energy, and there's also Regieleki. Of course, it has the attack to recover a trainer, which is what it's more known for.
Hmm.
But it also has 120 snipe for lightning colorless, and you discard 2 lightning from it. And this card's pretty interesting because I mean, you can actually use the second attack, and you can use the first attack, and they're both good, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. You have Farfetched here, the one that discards a special energy. If
Yeah.
you could
Wait, how
again,
much? What's it do?
it does
Oh
30
yeah,
and you
Maka,
discard a
which is like the
special.
same as Scyther, but
Okay,
it
is that
is a little different. It's just a little different. Oh
so?
wait, no, sorry, Scyther's just 10.
Which might be better. I mean, it depends, right?
Yeah, no, I think 30 is probably better. It depends.
Right.
Some people are like listening to us like, wait, why did 10 be better than 30? But yeah,
If you're controlling and not knocking out with this one, if you're just getting rid of energy, stopping them from attacking, again, if special energy becomes big, particularly if one of the, say, A-spec special energies is big, getting that out of play, right, is an option in a Ditto box, has value.
yeah. And there's also Ting-Lu, 30
Hmm.
to each of your opponent's Pokemon for one fighting. If your opponent for each of sorry, it does, yeah, 30 to everything. But you need to discard Stadium in play.
Hmm.
Oh, and there's also the other Ting-Lu, which is I think it does 220
Yeah,
if
for
it
for 3 fighting though, which is tough, and
yeah,
it
but
has
and
to
it
have
can't.
4 more damage counters. Oh no,
No, it
no, if
can't
it
have four more
does,
damage.
which obviously what with Ditto, if it has much more than that, it's not around. So,
Yeah. Oh, you could do Slitherwing, which does 90 to itself and 120 to your opponent's active. So you knock yourself out.
and what about you do it with United Wings, which is
Uh,
what it had seen play with in the past? Are there attackers that want what are the energy costs for different United Wings? I don't remember what those are right
I mean,
now.
they're all pretty payable. It's the one darkness. So the basic are there's the one darkness, and then two of them are
Hmm.
two colorless, and then the Flamingo is colorless, though, so you could actually use this card, and then you could also do the Dartrix for the stage one is one colorless. So
Okay,
if you
so
want to be able to attack with that.
so you probably don't need Glass Trumpet then with Ditto with United Wings, right?
Yeah, probably not.
Okay, um,
But I think is that all? I
I
think
think
we've
so.
overcooked a little here.
Yeah, I mean we've rambled on with a lot of ideas. The point is though that there are a lot
Oh,
of things.
Alumis, the best card from the set. Alumis from Twilight Masquerade.
Okay. So there's a lot of options with Ditto and Glass Trumpet. So yeah, have some, we want to have some fun messing around with that for sure.
Yep. But we hope you all enjoyed the video. Consider liking and subscribing to our channels, or the video in our channels, Uncommon Fossil and 10 Types on YouTube. And check out the Reasonably Effective podcast on podcasting platforms as well if you want to listen to it that way, which may be more suitable for you. But we hope you enjoyed. And as always, we're excited to see you in the next episode.
All right, take care.